All right, everybody, we are back and we're doing another patch breakdown for Smite. We've been doing these the past few patches / bonus patches, so we're going to stick with it. I'm going to try to be a little bit more in-depth today on everything going on with the 9.10 update, where we're getting a new champion, new god. We're getting Maui. So Maui is new Polynesian god. He is the hero of Hawaii. And we have a few things to kind of go through, as he has kind of some new ideas brought into his kit. Where his passive, Mana Ma'i Kalani? Maia Kalani. I'm not going to screw that up, chat. We're just going to leave it alone. I lived in Hawaii for several years, but I'm not going to mess that up today. I'm pretty sure it's Mana Ia Kanalini. I don't know. I give up. But when a god is hard crowd controlled near Maui, they are marked for the duration of the crowd control and for an additional 2 seconds afterwards. If Maui's basic attacks on an enemy with this mark, his next basic attack becomes enhanced. Any gods hit by Maui's enhanced basic attacks are pulled to him. This passive has a 10-second cooldown. So like you'll see his hook, it's normal color. When this passive procs, it has like a blue aura around it on the base skin. I don't know if that'll be different for other skins, obviously. But then he does his basic attack, and it does a pull towards him. This means that as a support, which is his technical role, he might get played in somewhere else. You could troll a little bit if you had a low health carry and you pulled the enemy towards them, That's, food for thought. Master Fisherman, he winds up his hook, and it actually, you see the visual marker stretch out over time, kind of like Oleron, and then you can pull towards you. It has hook damage, goes from 100 to 360 based off your level, plus 50% of your magical power. His max range is 55. The cost goes from 60 to 80 by level, and his cooldown, it goes from 16 to 14 seconds based off level. I think this ability is super awesome. It looks visually cool to see like how the rope is used, and I think the animation team did a really, really good job here. And then we see Mystical Ulua. This is Maui throws an Ulua made of magical water that explodes on landing, giving all allied gods within 35 units protections and movement speed. So it's a giant AoE circle you see on the ground. The Ulua creates a pillar of water that lasts 10 seconds. And so this pillar is kind of small, about a size of one god, a little bit larger in diameter. You will see it actually start draining, and once it hits the ground, it's not active anymore. If an allied god goes and stands in that for 1 second, a bubble forms around them, and they're pulled to Maui's location, where they receive protections and movement speed for 5 seconds. If Maui leaves the aura radius, no ally is interacting with the water, it is destroyed. So you have to be in this circle. If Maui leaves the circle, they do not go all the way to Maui. They only go to the edge of that circle when they're pulled. So keep that in mind. Protections here are 5 to 25. Movement speed is from 4 to 20%. Aura is 110 for the radius. Cost is 55 to 75, and cooldown goes from 14 to 10. These first two abilities, if you played League of Legends, feel very much like Thresh. With Mystical Lua, I think, being better than Thresh's ability, which is fine. His third ability is his leap. It's called Solar Swing, and Maui leaps and he latches his hook onto a ray of sunlight. He swings from it. So you can swing forward, you can swing back, and you can swing forward, and then that's the leap. You can choose where you want to land in that area, but it goes forward, back, forward, and that's the extent of that ability. It actually gives you a pretty good amount of time being up in the air. It gives you good vision. He swings back and forth before he leaps from the rope and slams his hook into the ground, damaging and stunning all enemies in that area. While he swings, Maui can reactivate ability at any time to leap early. Landing damage goes from 110 to 335 based off of level, plus 60% of your damage. Radius is 17.5. The cost goes from 70 to 90, and the cooldown is 16 seconds. Again, I think this is a really good ability. I think these are interesting abilities for a Guardian to have this kind of utility, and having one ability in his kit that literally does 0 damage. Mystical Lua, I didn't mention this, but as you can see, it doesn't do any damage whatsoever. Try to kind of keep him out of solo lane. Solar Swing, I think, is a really interesting, cool ability. His ult is called Landfall. Maui selects an area, becomes CC immune, leaps into the air, He throws his hook down at the target area. He pulls up an island and knocking all enemies in the area into the air. He pulls them in front of himself. So it's kind of like this knock-up pull situation. The island remains on the battleground, blocking player movement for 4 seconds. Maui can reactivate this ability to destroy the island early. In other words, you can block off a path of the enemy team to enter the jungle, to get to the rest of their team, things like that. I think it's a very interesting ability. It's going to be very, very strong. We haven't really seen a ability like this to control such an area and make sure you can't enter it. You could talk about Odin Cage. You could talk, but you can eventually walk through it. You could break through it. I don't think you can break through Landfall, and I'm wondering if you can Phantom Shell through it. You should be able to, but I don't know if it interacts the same way as a wall. I didn't catch that yesterday. The only part of the patch notes I watched were Maui's kit, so the rest of this we're going to read through and kind of talk through as we go. But Landfall's knockup damage goes from 275 to 675, plus 80% of your magical power. In other words, it hits significantly. The knockup area is 22.5. The island area is 18. The cost is 100. The cooldown is 90 seconds. If you want to get an idea of what this ability looks like, if you're next to the tier 1 towers in mid, it is equivalent to the width of those areas, so it actually could fully block those off if you place it well enough. But on October 18th, which is next week, today is October 13th, and this video will go live today. These are the skins we're going to be getting. These are all the Maui skins for the recolor, the season pass skin, and then the mastery skins. We'll also be getting Detox 5 Maui in the Halloween chest. We'll get Cinderfall Morgan Le Fay from Ruby. I think the card art for these look really good. We're going to get a cartoon Toonie Terra Scylla skin. All the rest of these cartoon skins are always super fun and good. I think Scylla's on the up and up right now anyway. It's kind of, we're working towards worlds. We kind of see Scylla start getting played around now, especially with the items that have been buffed recently. Obviously, I haven't looked at the patch. I don't know what items are buffed, but we'll kind of see where that is. We're going to see a Scotty skin, yo. Let's go. Plague Bearer Raw, Honey Bunny Bastet. I actually love the Honey Bunny skins. Dark Magic Aphrodite. I'm excited for the Blood Moon Nox skin. Then we have Blazing Tormentor Sylvanas. This is awesome. This is cool. I like that. And then Darkest Night Xbalanque. This reminds me of I don't know what it is about this card art. It reminds me of Dirge of Cerberus, Final Fantasy VII game for the PlayStation 2. Primordial Paragon Guan. That's dope. Spy Master Kali. Chibi Thor, dude. Let's go. I love the Chibi skins. Dude, give me some Chibi Thor, dude. Here's the update release schedule. We're going to get the Maui update on the 18th. Prime Gaming drop of the Avatar The Last Airbender cosmetic bundle on October 24th. And then the bonus patch on November 1st. We'll get another video recalling that once we get information on that. Here's the Smite Knights. We have Shorthanded. We have Corrupted Arena coming up the second week. During the Corrupted Arena event that week, they have Riftmaster Hoth are taking over. So featuring the Corrupted Arena map, only metal skins. Compete and play with friends to earn the Hath collaboration rewards. The week 3 is going to be Siege. Week 4 is going to be Classic Conquest. The rewards are going to be a Chef Vulcan avatar for week 1 and an avatar chest. The music pack and avatar for week 2 for the Hoth bundle. Week 3 will be Smite Knight emote and cosmetic. Week 4 will be Odyssey Soaring Isle bundle bonus chest and 3-day account booster. And the milestone will be Teabag Global emote, recolor, and Smite Knight skins. The Reaping event. The Reaping skins will be what we saw above: the Honey Bunny Bastet, Plague Bearer Perjure Raw, Cyberwolf Scotty, Detoxify Maui, Blood Moon Nox, Dark Magic Aphrodite as a reward, and Toon Terror Scylla also as a reward. The way this event will work is every time you purchase an item from the Reaping event, you will receive a pumpkin. You can collect 3 pumpkins from 3 direct purchases skins, and 3 pumpkins by rolling any 3 items from the Halloween chest or directly purchasing the Halloween skin chest skins. And collecting 3 pumpkins will unlock the Dark Magic Aphrodite skin and collect up to a total of 6 pumpkins for the Toonie Terra Scylla skin. So, purchase idea. We're getting a quality of life update for CC bars. I think this is actually really big. This is good. So, when a player is affected by hard CC, an icon appears above their head with a bar displaying its duration. when we reclassified roots as hard CC in 9.7, an icon started appearing as it should. However, because roots did not have their own icon, the image it was showing was misleading. As such, we have created a new icon for roots, as well as several other hard CCs to increase the clarity as to what kind of hard CC a player is affected by. So, our new items, or I guess visualizations here, are root looks like this, mesmerize looks like this. The following hard CCs have their icons adjusted to better align with their effects. So Banish is going to be a stun, Madness is going to be a taunt, Disorient is going to be a stun, Slippery Surface will be a fear, and Knockback now uses no icon. This is consistent with how Knockup and Knockback have previously functioned. So just an update, trying to give more clarity to the game. I really like this. I think it's good. We saw a bunch of UI fixes here. So pre-match lobby crashes. This is a problem on multiple issues, but I believe this is a big console issue, or at least console crashes for sure. Other than that, they fixed a bunch of issues here. You can go and read about them. They're dealing with loading screens, battle passes, Hide of the Urchin, all that good stuff. Fixed some issues with gods here. Nothing, I think, super duper crazy. No one mentioned anything super crazy to me, so... Rat got an updated passive tooltip that removed the mention of boots. Unfortunate. Along with that, items, fixed text names for Phoenix Bauble and Manicore Spikes to be plural. Cool. Fixed spike drop inconsistencies for multiple gods. Actually, this is big. So spikes now drop like they should on Shiva's Emblazoned Sweep, Lancelot's Skilled Strikes, Nike Barrier Formation, Gilgamesh Dropkick, Charybdis the Maw Hungers, Fenrir Ragnarok, Merlin Vortex, Yu Huang Dueling Dragons, Atlas Gravity Pull, and Jing Chen Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, which is good. So on the Conquest map for our changes, the Naga has received increased everything, prots, health, and physical power scaling. Interceptor got decreased base damage. Gold Fury got decreased team gold from 150 to 130, decreased health from 3,500 to 3,000, decreased physical and magical prots by 5, decreased magical power by 15, and increased magical power scaling by +2 to +3 for every minute. This is a pretty big nerf to Gold Fury. I think we're going to probably see that pulled a lot faster in this update. We see this being consistent with the Primal Only Fury getting decreased base magical power as well, and then getting increased power scaling, just like the other one. Pyromancer gets decreased base team gold, team XP, and health. Not by as much as the Gold Fury, though. Purification beads are a core counter to one of Smite's strongest mechanics, crowd control. Over the years, we have investigated ways to make that relic feel more responsive and user-friendly. So players are now able to use beads at any time they are alive, including during the pre- and post-fire abilities, during leaps and dashes, other channeled abilities, during untargetable and other immunities. Holy! Yo, this is a massive change. Being able to use beads at any time is actually nuts. This allows so much more counterplay to CC. And allowing people to pop beads during abilities, like pre and post fire, obviously you can't do it during, but pre and post fire is pretty crazy. During leaps and dashes is crazy. This is a significant change to the game, and you will feel this. There's a lot of talk sometimes when we do patch notes that we see like these small tweaks and people get really upset about them, but like most casual players won't notice it. If any casual player knows about this change with purification beads, they're going to feel this. This is going to be a massive change to beads, and I think a good and needed change to beads. Getting into itemization. So I mentioned it on the last episode or last patch video that they usually focus on buffs on main updates and nerfs in the bonus, but they have it here that going forward, we'll start moving key nerfs into the main patch as needed. Bonus updates will still likely contain only nerfs, but we also want to be responsive as possible to balance issues. So the first one is they nerf Warlock Staff. This item now only provides % penetration once it's fully evolved. This is good. This item has been dominating the mid lane. It is a core item for most mid laners right now, despite I think there might be better optimization. Warlock Staff is really good on a lot of mages. So This is a shift. They talk about it here. Warlock Staff provides a lot of HP and percent pin, making it an all-around strong item. When its competitors like Book of Thoth and Charon's Coin are more limited in range and provide less overall stats, so they're nerfing it to be more in line. And I think that's important here. So a good change for the mid lane. Book of Thoth is, this item now provides 10 magical penetration when evolved. So again, trying to bring these items more in line with Warlock Staff and make them kind of all feel good and provide more build variety. So they talk about Book is especially interesting buff this week, and it will now offer a brand new stat of 10 magical penetration when evolving. This item gives mages another option for building flat pin and creates a nice rivalry between the two mage stacking items. Then you see Charon's Coin got to increase magical power from 80 to 90. Again, this is all to make these 3 items more viable, but also make you think about wanting to purchase any one of the 3, not just Warlock Staff. I think this is a good change. Charon's Coin is cracked. I love that item. It's really, really good. I think it's become a little bit more niche over the past year, but we are seeing it slowly start getting built again, and I think this item could start running rampant with a nerf to Warlock Staff. We'll just kind of have to see. Silver Branch Bow gets a cost increase by 150 and decreased physical power from 30 to 25. This item has been almost core in every ADC build, I would say, throughout the entire season, just because of how ADCs have wanted to build this season. This item is a very strong counter to buying Xe because it's guaranteed 20% physical penetration shred, whereas with Xe, you kind of have to stack it. But this nerf might shove Silver Branch out and bring another item in. I think that could happen. They go through and talk about this item has been powerful for most of the year and has seen a few nerfs because of it. However, we still see people building this item even without using the passive, so it's going through another round of nerfs. A significant cost increase paired with a slight power nerf should bring its stat efficiency more in line with the other items. Yeah, I mean, people build Silver Branch, and they don't even care about the passive. And if you don't know what the passive does, you want to overcap attack speed to build Silver Branch passive. Most people aren't even doing that. Devours Gauntlet. This item now provides 10 physical penetration once it's evolved. Ooh, I actually like that a lot. In the spirit of introducing some new and exciting options to builds, we're attempting to bring back Devours Gauntlets in a big way. This item has fallen out of favor and has been very little play, so we're giving it a new stat and physical penetration to the evolved version. It's just flat pin. I do think this is a good change for Devours Gauntlet. I played Devours Gauntlet this past week to try it out because I know Barracuda just thinks it feels good. And I do think this item feels good. It feels good to play with, even though it is lacking compared to the other items. I think this brings it more in line. We will see this played more, for sure. Heartseeker, this changes... So we're getting a decreased cost from 2,900 to 2,750 and decrease the physical power requirement to reach the maximum 6% bonus damage from 400 to 350. This change is most closely related to the Transcendence nerf we saw in the last bonus update. We want to keep helping out ability-based assassins who have fallen in many metrics since 9.5. We're seeing them climb back up slowly, but the nerf on Transcendence could hurt that. Since it felt quite necessary to nerf the item for hunters and warriors, we want to buff an item more specifically to assassins to make up for it. This is a huge buff and a great change for assassins. I've been playing ability-based assassins for the past few days as I'm back to maining jungle for a comp team. And I do have to say, I've been building Heartseeker and making it cheaper and making it where it's easier for me to get to the passive, the physical power requirement, I'm extremely excited about. I think this item is going to be built a lot in the jungle with this change. For sure going to feel good. Ooh, Heart Ward. Ooh, a controversial item. I like this. Okay, so here's the thing about Heart Ward. I've been seeing it in comp. I don't see it anywhere else. So on every version of it, base, stronghold, and silence, that's what the other one's called, right? Yeah. They're getting increased magical prots aura from 15 to 20. They're talking about that tanks are now getting some new changes. We took away a lot of their possible damage output in the last bonus patch, so today we're going to give them back some tankiness. Heartward Amulet and its glyphs will provide a better protections aura, and Hide of the Nemean line is going to gain its block stacks faster. They misspelt stacks right here, chat. They misspelt stacks. Heart Ward, I think, is a good item. We see a lot of people build Stronghold because of its conversion of physical oh my god, prots. But I'm not sure this brings it up to the forefront of making it amazing. I do think this does help giving another magical tank item that feels pretty good to build over things like Onis, Genjis, or even, Pesty Bulwark. I think this kind of brings it in line of, hey, maybe I do want to build that. Again, from casting perspective, I've seen Stronghold a good bit. But in casuals and stuff, I don't see it too often. So I'm curious to see if this brings it back on the rise. We'll see. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. High the Nemean Lion, decreased time to gain stacks from 10 to 8 seconds. I think this is a good change for Nemean. Without going straight into a tank meta, I think this feels good. It's going to be good against ADCs. Does this become an item that every solo or every support's going to build? No. I think Mana Core's Glad Shield in solo and jungle is just really strong right now. Bancroft's Claw. Decrease the shield from 1% of your max HP per hit to 0.7% of your max HP per hit. So Hades in the SPL, it sure is exciting, but this god has been cruising at the top of the win percentage charts for years, and finally this is being recognized at higher levels of play. Hades was just one of the gods who has recently risen in strength, all because of this powerful glyph. This item provides so much damage and survivability that nearly any mage that could use it has shot up noticeably, and it's about time we toned it down. Yeah, this is going to be a nerf to Hades, Kabrakan, any of those like solo mages / guardians that were building damage. This item was for them because they build HP anyway. And Bancroft's Claw is just really, really strong. Plus, you don't even have to land the ability. I mean, I don't know. Great nerf here. I still think we'll see some of them. I think this does tone it down a good bit, though. Mana Core Spikes. Ooh, another nerf to Mana Cores. Increase the cost by 200 gold. Adjust the visual effects of the deployable and the self buff to be better clarity and visuals. This is all I've asked for. Literally all I've asked for on that item. And to conclude this update, we'll have 2 more changes to the earrings. This item is still quite stat efficient, and instead of nerfing those stats, we're increasing their costs. This should make building them feel a bit more fair, and hopefully they are approaching a solid balance point. I agree with this. I don't think they had to nerf the stats anymore. I do think making it 200 gold more does make you question where to put it in your build. And I think Mana Cores is in a good spot. So I think this is a great change for that item and just for builds in general. Fae Blessed Hoops is getting a visual effects change as well and 100 more gold. I would have liked to see Fae Blessed Hoops also go up to 2,400 gold because gods like Guan and Yamoja build this and it feels very, very strong. I'm curious to see why they went 100 gold rather than 200 like Mana Cores. Obviously, this item's a little bit more limited on who it's built on, but I do find that curious. So keep an eye out about that. Flay Blessed Hoops, really, really good item. If you're playing Guan Yamoja, you should be building these items. 100%. On to God stuff. Camazotz. Increased physical power scaling on Screech by 10%. Camazotz has kind of fallen off, but I do think this brings him back a little bit. He's going to feel good as an assassin for sure. He's fallen off through the back half of the season, so they know he can multi-roll, so they want to make small changes to keep him from just dominating solo again. I think this is a good change. I love Camazotz, so great change. I heard there were Thor changes. I have not read them, because I didn't read any of the patch, but I heard there was Thor changes, and there are. Mjolnir's Attunement gets decreased mana cost. We like that, from 70 through 90 to 55 through 75. 15 less each rank. Great stuff. Tectonic Rift. This ability now deals damage equal to 30 to 110 and plus 40% of your physical power to all targets hit by the... Oh my god. Sign me up, dude. Thor is back, baby. Anvil of Dawn. The bonus effects of this abilities will also trigger on the damage added to Tectonic Rift. Holy, dude. Sign me up. Thor's gonna be cracked. Thor's gonna be everywhere, dude. Thor everywhere. Thor's gonna be good, dude. He might actually like leap into top 5 junglers, like top pick, top ban. Like, no joke. Let's read what they had to say. They said it's time to lift the hammer once more. There's a lot to love for Thor and Smite, but he has mostly been relegated to a pocket pick, rarely seeing a presence in greater meta. We're looking at a pretty spicy change for him this time, really invigorate him. So Tectonic Rift will now deal damage. The amount of damage is low, but it will be able to trigger items that gives Thor a lot more flexibility, his ability to go all in or just poke. This damage source will work on the empowered attack from his ultimate. for an extra jolt of energy. He's going to be built in solo. He is going to be built in jungle, and he is going to be good. So keep an eye out for Thor. We see some Ganesha changes. Ohm gets a decreased self-slow while firing from 20 to 15%. Removed obstacles decrease the cooldown from 15 to 14 through 12 as you level it up. So just making Ganesha more efficient. He has seen a bit of SPL play, but as struggling across the rest of the game, even at high MMR, I agree. For his buffs, we're looking to make him feel better control, lower self-slow, lower cooldown. I agree. I think these are great changes for Ganesh without making him feel super strong. It's just going to feel better to play him. And part of that is what we see. Like, we need changes that are like slowly but surely getting gods into play that just make them feel better to play. If you look at Ishtar is not super great at the high-end comp level, but she feels good to play. So that's part of like comfortability in picks, is just feeling good about it. Athena. Confound gets a decreased cooldown from 18 seconds to a scaling 18 to 16 based on level. Defender of Olympus. Athena now gains 35% damage mitigation while channeling this ability. Increase the damage mitigation to the target ally from 30 to 35%. Huge change on the ult. I think this is a great buff for Athena. We're going to be definitely seeing Athena support more. Yay. Athena's for the birds. That's a throwback to the Up Your Experience podcast. If you don't listen to it, you should go listen to it. It's everywhere you like to listen to podcasts. Another blast from the past. Athena is back for buffs, and she received some more damage. She primarily became a jungler, and a good one, but we're aiming to make her a traditional support. I think this is a great change. I think we will see her. Hercules. I don't even want to read these because this disgusts me. Increased base attack speed from 0.8 to 1. Strength from pain. Increased base physical power per stack from 2 to 4. Okay, these aren't as bad as I was worried about. I can live with this. Smite's Resident Warrior Strongman has been missing his workouts. We were aware diminishing returns had a effect on him. One especially hesitant to adding too much CC back immediately, so we're looking to find some more damage-oriented buffs instead. If Hercules continues to need buffs, we'll open to changing his CC durations and ruling in the future. I hope they do not do that. I also think they should be careful about buffing his damage because this god is already insane. If you don't know my feelings about Hercules, I'm not going to go into those right now. I think this is a good change for him. I'm hoping it doesn't make him broken. Tyr, this ability, his change stance provides 50% of the benefits while the opposing stance is in addition to the current bonuses. Hold on. The ability now provides 50% of the benefits while in the opposing stance in addition to the current bonuses. Interesting. So now adds physical power to defense stance from 0 to 25. Now adds prots 0 to 25 in assault stance. Oh, that makes more sense. That's a great change for Tyr. I didn't think Tyr was bad. This makes Tyr better. And we like stance switchers that are better, okay? The Smite Master Tournament got a lot of players interested in playing Tyr, but the overall god still is not putting out great numbers. For stance changers in general, not super exciting to level up their ultimates, so we're loading up Tyr with some more stats if he is willing to put the points into his ability. This will give him some more help all around. I think this is a good change. I do agree, like, switching stances is like the kind of last thing you want to level up on stance switchers because it just doesn't feel good a lot of the time. Like, you don't feel it. I feel like this could be good. Kind of like, do I want to be in Achilles armor or not? Shiva and Blazing Sweep gives increased movement speed from 2025. In Bliss stance, increased prot reduction debuff from 4 to 20 to 5 to 25 in destructive stance. That deals with this passive. Damaru's tempo increase attack speed buff in Bliss stance and the attack speed debuff in destructive stance on this ability from 25% to 30%. I think these are great changes for Shiva. Again, he's a new warrior. We haven't seen him a ton. He had really good flex potential. I think these might bring him back. And I don't think they're too insane because this one's straight passive and a lot of people don't look at it. Morgan Le Fay, Sigil Mastery Revert decreased the cooldown from 13 to 12. Shroud of Wildlife Revert decreased cooldown from 14 to 13. So they're just reverting what they did before. This will bring her back as a DPS S mage. And while she has little mobility, she relies on her damage and crowd control to be effective. So they went ahead and fixed that. I don't know if that brings her back, but we'll see. Soul. I love Soul. Stellar Burst Revert increased magical power scaling from 35 to 40% per hit. Supernova Revert increased magical power scaling to 45% to 50%. This god already feels good because it's Soul, and I think this makes her at least somewhat viable as an ADC. And with that, that has to feel good. And that's what they're talking about, you know, Soul's a mage ADC that's been seen less lately. Hunters surged in post 9.5 era, but the itemization has held mage ADCs back. And now they're seeing the return of gods like Olduar and Freya. They want to make sure Soul has a place. I think that's great. Yanis decreased cooldown on threshold through space and time, increased magical power scaling from 65% to 80%. Good change for Yanis. I think he kind of needed it. He had some recent buffs, but he's still looking for more. Yanis can take over the game when he is too strong, so we're being careful with buffing him. I think this is cool. They talk about power scaling his ultimate to help him deal with a more reasonable change to time to kill. And I think these changes make him a bit better, but not OP. And I think that's fine. On her, needed changes, thank God. Impale, increased damage, base damage from 90 to 350 to 105 to 365, so 15 per level. Increased physical power scaling from 75 to 80%. He's the pinnacle of duel, as they mentioned here, but he does need some help as far as Conquest goes. So I think while he is popular, I do think this helps a little bit. I don't know if this brings him back a lot, but they are giving him a boost that I think will feel good for his wave clear, and I think we could see a little bit of him. So that's good. Charybdis, we have Spike Shot gets increased splitter damage from 10 to 30 to 20 to 10, or 40, so get 10 per level. Capsize, increased base damage from 80 to 280, from 90 to 290, so 10 per level. As a Charybdis player, I think this feels good. Like, this is her wave clear, this is her slowing and damaging abilities. These are the things that make her do damage. And prioritizing that DPS is going to feel good. This would make me want to play Charybdis more if I was playing ADC right now. Ishtar, imbued arrows, increase the duration from 5 to 6 seconds. Decrease the damage of Storm Shot from 80 to 85% of Ishtar's basic attack damage. Increased bonus damage on Strike Shot from 8 to 30 to 14 to 30, so 6 per level. Or sorry, 6 initially, and then it kind of tapers off. I think these are all good changes that are going to help her early game. Rolling Thunder increased base damage per hit from 40 to 120 to 50 to 150. So they've talked about Ishtar, you know, new gods tend to have a unique perception to be more powerful than they actually are. We anticipate Ishtar would have a learning curve and also have some unique strengths, so we are careful not to rush buffs too soon. Her data has shown her to be slightly on the lower end of win percentages, although her popularity is some of the strongest data we have seen from a new god in years. We're looking to address some primary community discussion topics with these buffs, making her imbued arrows more impactful, especially when ranked up and increasing the damage output of Rolling Thunder. I agree. If you look, I talked about Ishtar earlier today, just in this patch. Like, she's a god that feels good to play. And sometimes feeling good to play counteracts win percentage. So it's an interesting debate to have. I think this does make Ishtar a little bit better. I don't think it makes her overly powered or anything like that. I think it's just going to increase her early game, which is an area that she does need help in. So that is patch 9.10, the Maui update, the Hero of Hawaii. I didn't mention, though, that Jessica Nagiri is the voice actress for Cinderfall Morgan Le Fay, which I think is super awesome, by the way. As per usual, I tried a little bit of a different format today, going a little bit more in depth. If you enjoyed that, leave something in the comments. If there's something you would like to see from these patch note reviews, or there is something you would like me to be more specific about, something different you would like to see from my end, I want to keep doing these because I think they're helpful for people that don't get to listen to the patch notes or don't want to have to read through everything. If there's something you want from my end that I can do for these videos, please leave something in the comments or reach out to me on Twitter or Discord. And thanks for stopping by. Bye.